I would like to tell you today about a widow who was born in New York City in 1774. At the age of 20, she married a very wealthy man who was also from New York, and they were Episcopalians. Together they had 5 children, and then his fortune collapsed, and he contracted tuberculosis. In an attempt to help him to feel better, they decided to go to Italy, to a more favorable climate. And they arrived there with their 5 children, and 6 weeks later, he died. She'd been befriended by an Italian Catholic wealthy family, and they helped her to keep her family together and get back to the United States. She was so taken with their Catholicism that she took instructions in the Catholic faith and was received into the Catholic Church in 1805. And she was disowned by her family and by her friends. Fortunately, she was able to earn some income as a teacher. In 1809, with a group of other women, she founded the first American Catholic religious order for women called the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul. And they opened Catholic schools. And as a matter of fact, she really founded Catholic parochial education here in America. And at the age of 46, she died on January the 4th, 1821. In 1995, she was canonized by Pope Paul VI, and we know her today as St. Elizabeth Ann Bailey Seton, or as she's popularly known as Mother Seton. We hear about a widow in the first reading today who ministered to Elijah the prophet. We heard about a widow in today's gospel that Jesus observed, putting 2 small coins in the temple treasury, worth just a few cents. But he noticed and said, "The rich have given from their surplus wealth. She's given from her poverty, her entire livelihood." And then we have the widow, later nun, Elizabeth Ann Seton. I think it's important that we recognize and show our appreciation for the widows, for the widowers in our church family. You do so much to really help the church, the family of God. Widows come in many kinds. Some are young, some old, some in between. Some rich, some poor. Some strong in their faith, some not very strong in their faith. Some who have accepted their situation with great grace. Some who find it very difficult to accept their situation. But our prayers, our encouragement, go out to all of our married who now are alone, whether through death or through separation. And we want you to know that we are with you in your grief, in your loneliness. We ask God to enlighten you as you work with your problems. We ask God to strengthen you as you work with your struggles. And please keep in mind the scriptures of this Sunday and in a very particular way, the responsorial psalm that we sang together. It's Psalm 146, and stanza 3 begins with these words, "The fatherless and the widow he sustains." That's the promise of God. The fatherless and the widow he sustains. We also observe Veterans Day this weekend. And we remember in prayer and with gratitude all of the veterans of our nation who really needed to leave their families and loved ones to preserve us and protect us, to defend us, so that we could be safe and live at peace. We remember our veterans and also all of our men and women currently in uniform. And we commend them all to the Lord. And in a special way, we also remember their widows and their families. I would like to thank all of our widowed who really, in working with your loneliness, have come closer to God with His grace and have enabled other people to come closer to God through you. I look in our own parish, and so many of you who are widowed come to daily Mass during the week. So many of you participate in the ministries of our parish. So many of you serve as volunteers, visiting the sick, the homebound, comforting people who are grieving. And I thank you. I thank you for all that you do. Some of you are caring for or helping to educate your children or your grandchildren. So many of you do so many things with your time, your talent, and your treasure to make this parish family the great parish family that it is, and to enrich the life of Christ's entire family, the church. And I thank you for your prayers, for your loved ones, for our parish, for the missions, for vocations, for our Holy Father, Pope Benedict XVI, for me, and for all of your intentions that are so close to the heart of Jesus himself. You unite your prayers with those of Jesus. And this morning we do that here in his most generous sacrifice of his death and resurrection, which we celebrate during this Eucharist, right at this altar. Like the widow that ministered to the prophet Elijah, like the widow that Jesus praised in the temple for her generosity, like the widow St. Elizabeth Ann Bailey Seton, who gave their all. May all of you continue to give your all to God and his church, generously and graciously. And may Jesus smile upon you and bless you and your loved ones now and forever. Amen.